The white flag raised. They're lined up. And they're off. The KPMG Champions Juvenile Stakes. It's a Group 2. All 4 runners trained by one of the O'Brien family. It is Hardy Warrior who sets out to make it, followed by Benvenuto Cellini, a boy named Susie. 4th of the 4 in these early stages is Neil Boer Gondua. Continuing towards the 6 furlong point, in single file, it's Hardy Warrior and Browne McMonagle. Leading the way to Benvenuto Cellini and Christophe Soumillon. 3rd is a boy named Susie, Gavin Ryan, and the back marker is Neil Boer Gondua and Declan McDonough. Heading out of the back straight, order remains the same. It's Hardy Warrior by 2 lengths to Benvenuto Cellini. In 3rd, a length and a half back, a boy named Susie, and the back marker continues to be Neil Boer Gondua. Reaching the halfway stage in the Group 2 KPMG Champions Juvenile Stakes, it's Hardy Warrior, followed by Benvenuto Cellini, a boy named Susie, and last of all is Neil Boer Gondua as they tighten at the 3 furlong mark. Heading back for the approach to the straight, Hardy Warrior as of yet to be headed. Closer in second is Benvenuto Cellini, followed by a boy named Susie and Neil Boer Gondua as they straighten with 2 furlongs to go. Hardy Warrior is strongly pressed by Benvenuto Cellini, who edges ahead, then a boy named Susie leaving behind Neil Boer Gondua coming over this way, and it is Benvenuto Cellini opening up a sizable advantage over Hardy Warrior, a boy named Susie and Neil Boer Gondua. Benvenuto Cellini couldn't be any more impressive in the KPMG Champions Juvenile Group 2 Stakes. Well clear from Hardy Warrior. On either side of Hardy Warrior, a boy named Susie and Neil Boer Gondua. Second for Christophe Soumillon and Aidan O'Brien.
Yes, he has, of course, got Delacroix and January to look forward to later on. Things have started rather well for Christophe Soumillon here. Benvenuto Cellini, who, as he told Fran after winning the first on, he only switched on to an hour before racing after Montreal's defection on veterinary advice, has spread eagle the field here. Montreal would have had to be pretty good to beat this guy, wouldn't he?
I think so, Gary. Look, he was really good at Killarney the last day, and he's done a little bit different. He took a lead this time from Hardy Warrior, but he's always travelled well. Christophe Soumillon was happy that he had Browne McMonagle covered from a fairway out. You could see him having a little look under his right shoulder just as he moved up on the outside of Hardy Warrior, and he didn't need to look anywhere else except straight in front of him, because when he pressed the button, his horse picked up really well and he stretched away impressively.
From the stalls we go. And Neil Boer Gondua, the maiden, who's run very creditably here, the slowest one into stride, has, I'm sure, pleased his connections and will have no trouble picking up a maiden once he has his sides lowered a little bit. In truth, there was very little between the other 3. I think he might have grabbed 3rd in the end, Neil Boer Gondua. But Browne McMonagle got to the front and Hardy Warrior done similar tactics to those that paid dividends on him last time and was able to steady things up through the 3rd and 4th furlongs. Just no answer, really, did he?
No.
When Benvenuto Cellini came up alongside.
No, that's it. Just beaten by a better horse on the day, Gary. And Hardy Warrior, he's run well in defeat, and he's kept on well to see off his other 2 rivals and retain the runner-up spot. But he just couldn't answer when Benvenuto Cellini came up on his outside, and that horse has picked up really well. But like, all 4 riders look happy here. Browne McMonagle just swinging away in front, and Hardy Warrior setting the pace that he wants to set. He has a little look there to see where Christophe Soumillon is. The answer is he's right behind him in his wing mirrors, and here just for a couple of strides when Browne McMonagle starts to just increase the pace a little bit, Benvenuto Cellini just had to get a little bit of a squeeze from Christophe Soumillon, but all of a sudden he's back on the bridle, he's up on the outside, he's within a half a length, and here's where Christophe Soumillon, happy that he has the rival to his left covered, has a little look to his right to see if there's anything else there, and there isn't. And then interesting that they all come over towards the near side.
I'm going to ask you about that. Yeah, we saw Ramy swooping more towards the outside to win the handicap. Is that going to be a theme in the day?
It might be. Like, they've come all the way over. Now maybe it was dictated by Browne McMonagle, who came towards this side on Hardy Warrior, and Christophe Soumillon was on his outside, so he was obviously going to come that way. But Browne McMonagle, it's a very deliberate move, isn't it? Because he was shunning the rail down the back straight,
and then Christophe goes to the rail, doesn't he?
Well, that's it, because he's on his outside, and he's 3/4 of the way over. He may as well go the whole way over to the rail at that point to have a rail to race against. But it is interesting that they've all maybe they've all followed Dylan on the way over, and that's just the way it's worked out. But yeah, it wouldn't be surprising to see them coming wide later on as well.
He's a full brother to Giselle, who we haven't seen since she finished 5th in the Oaks behind Minnie Hawkdon. But he looks, at this stage, obviously very early days still, just his 3rd career start, as though he might be maybe a slightly more straightforward horse than her. Would that be fair?
Yeah, that could be it, Gary. And he stays this trip well. As down as Newspaper of Record, who won the... Didn't she win the Breeders' Cup Juvenile
she
turf?
did.
And yeah, Chad Brown trained
Pedigrees
her.
don't get much better, do they?
No, they don't. They don't. But like you couldn't have faulted this really. So similar to Diamond Necklace in the opener, Gary. It's a really nice performance by this horse. Montreal's defection made it an easier task than it might have been. But as you said, Montreal would have wanted to have been pretty good to beat this fella. He's done everything well. He's travelled well. He's come up on the outside. He's picked up quite quickly, and without his rider having to get too serious with him, and just with the squeeze and just hands and heels right, he's stretched away impressively at the end.
And again, a bit like the filly that won the first, all the right entries in the pipeline for Benvenuto Cellini. He's in the bears for the Dewhurst, the Futurity, Arc Weekend. I'd imagine could be a player for him too. All options open, but at this early stage, Don, he's starting to look like a real live Derby type, isn't he?
Yeah, by Frankel. And he started off over 7 furlongs. It was a nice run on his racecourse debut. He improved from that. And he looks straightforward as well, as you were saying, Gary. He made all the running at Killarney the last day. Wayne Lorden was happy to allow him bowl along in front. Christophe Soumillon happy to take a lead here. When Browne McMonagle wanted to go on, he just tracked Hardy Warrior. And then whenever he wanted him, he was there for him. And when he asked him to pick up, he's done exactly that and put the race to bed quite quickly over a mile. You can see him going out and trip, no problem, if he needs to, even before the end of the season if he needs to. But like all those 7 furlong 1 mile races between now and the end of the season will be open to him before he starts to look about going up and trip next season, please God.
And carrying the colours, very familiar colours of course, of Peter Brandt, Benvenuto Cellini. There's the pedigree. Frankel out of Newspaper of Record. I'm sure we're going to be hearing an awful lot more about this fella.
Yeah, and Peter Brandt was stood next to MV Magna at Keeneland the other day and signed for one of the top lots, $3.3 million for a son of Gunrunner. And Peter and Westerberg and Coolmore teaming up here with Benvenuto Cellini out of Newspaper of Record, who Seth Klarman in fact raced in the US for Chad Brown. Absolutely brilliant performance to win the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies turf. I wonder if the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Colts turf might be on the agenda for this horse. Look at him stretch, and look at the way Christophe Soumillon comes stand side. He wants the hair rail quite determinedly.
Maybe there was a bit more in that 3 of the first 4 in the handicap being drawn in the teens than I at first thought. Maybe they were on the best ground. It certainly did this horse no harm to do that, and ultimately I think he's been way more impressive than I thought he might be, judging by the first half of the race.
I tell you what, this horse, he's got some temperament. He's walking around like an old stager here at Benvenuto Cellini, in the parade ring, in delivery at KPMG. Aidan O'Brien just getting a picture with the sponsors there after a very good performance by this horse here today. Aidan, he's a work in progress. Good here again today.
Yeah, he's lovely, Fran. He's coming lovely, big open stride. Yeah, he's won his maiden lovely. Looks like he's going to be a lovely middle distance horse, really. Dylan took him along out in the middle of the track, and obviously Christophe had a choice to come to right or left rail, and it was easier to go to the right rail. So, but he's lovely. Couldn't be happier.
Where does he fit in your plans?
He's lovely. He was always going to be a Derby trial horse. Christophe said he feels like a French Derby horse. That's what he said when. So yeah. So yeah. Listen, he can go again this year and race in Post or one of the French races, and then start in the Derby trials next year, I would imagine.
His dam was very smart. She got better with racing on age as well. And looking at him physically, that would look the same here.
I think so. Yeah, he's a close, compact horse, but he's a big horse, but he's a very good walker, great galloper. He really opens up, levels out on the ground when you ask him to go, and that's usually a good sign.
Looking back at the first race, she was very good to filly.
Yes, yeah, we thought that 7 around here was going to be tight enough for her, but Christophe said she was a little bit slow. He leaned on the stalls coming out, so she came out a little bit slow. He gave her a chance, but he said she felt very classy and came home well. So she's probably a filly for the Fillies Mile or the Boosack or something like that. Great pedigree, and like I say again, she's by St. Mark's, and St. Mark's didn't win his group race until the Dew horse, and that's another month to go, you know. So, but they're obviously coming earlier than
He's having a good week.
He is, yeah. But like I say, Fran, every week goes by now, they're starting to gush, you know what I mean? So yeah, no, hopefully.
And since we're talking to you, of course, you're the winner of Doncaster, you won Champagne Stakes there as well.
Yeah, he was a lovely horse. He was still a maiden, would you believe? But like he had ran in some big races and he has been progressing. But he's a lovely horse. That was his first time stepping up to 7. He always looked like a horse wanted 7. So he'll get 7 and obviously get further.
7 minutes to St. Ledger, Doncaster. Any updates on the team?
No, everyone is happy. They say the ground has gone on the slow side over there, so that's probably going to favour Lambourn more than Scandinavia. But listen, you never know. Obviously, as you know, until they get out there and do it, you don't know what's going to happen. But Lambourn should handle easier ground, but Scandinavia, he never ran with easy ground over that trip, so it will be interesting.
And back to Leopardstown, with Delacroix in mind, of course, the fact it came standside here in this race early in the day, is that going to be an option later on maybe?
I think it is, obviously, always is here in Leopardstown. You can always come across, and I think it'll kind of depends on where the field comes off at the bend, whether they come off up the middle, and if they do come off it up the middle, they often go out, and if they come off on the rail, they come up the middle. You know, that's usually the way it falls, and it's like, you know, in every race, it's where the pace is, and it's usually the pace sucks you into the race, you know.
For sure, great start today, well done.
Thanks, Stefan. Appreciate it.
Thanks for
Watch live racing now on racingtv.com.